Well, I arrived here 26 years ago and I got stuck. I
Same,
never
right?
made it home. If YouTube is showing you a video that you haven't specifically asked to see, then that's no accident. And you're thinking, well, is this going to work? Is it going anywhere? Is it worth the amount of time I'm putting into here? I can't tell you whether it's going to take off or not, but when it does, it goes whoop, because this is all exponential.
I see. Welcome to the Scientist Podcast. My name is Akram, and I interview people from all walks of life about their careers, how they got to where they are, the inside scoop of the industries, and the tips and tricks that they learned along the way. No fluff, no corporate jargon, just real conversations that you can actually use. This is not LinkedIn. In today's episode, I talked to Dr. Andrew Robertson, a chemist and an associate professor in Kyushu University. He's also a YouTuber with a channel called 326. If I were you, I'd take a cup of coffee or whatever your favorite drink is and give this episode a listen. Andrew drops a ton of valuable insights, especially for aspiring YouTubers just like myself. So let's go. Hi, Andrew.
Okay.
How
Hey,
are you?
Akram, it's great to meet you. Yeah,
Very good
yeah.
to meet you. I'm in Kyushu, and luckily I got to meet you. I know you do, YouTube also, which is very interesting for an academic person to actually take the time needed to do that kind of challenge.
Right, yeah.
So before we get into that, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Okay, yeah. So my name is Dr. Andrew Robertson. I teach chemistry at the Faculty of Engineering here at Kyushu University.
Yeah.
And I came here, well, I arrived here 26 years ago.
26 years?
26 years ago, yeah.
Time
And
flies.
I just for 1 year research project and I got stuck.
That's what everyone keeps saying.
I never
right?
made it home. I never made it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, here I am.
So Kyushu was your home ever since you came to Japan, or did you move around
Yeah,
Japan a
well,
little bit?
Fukuoka in particular.
Fukuoka.
So in my 26 years here, I've only met 2 people who prefer somewhere else. At least another city. One preferred Tokyo, one preferred Osaka. Everybody else loves Fukuoka.
Loves Fukuoka.
It's a really good size. It's not huge like Osaka and Tokyo, but we have pretty much everything that those bigger cities have. We're right next to beautiful beaches. We've got beautiful countryside and mountains to the south of us.
Yeah.
And it's usually a great climate. I mean, things are changing everywhere right now, right?
Yes.
So I just fell in love with the place and got stuck here.
And honestly, truth be said, it is beautiful. Like nature is surrounding you everywhere, at least, on this campus. A bit far from the station, though.
Yes.
Yeah. we have to say that. Well, going back into, science communication and science in general. You were holding you held a workshop that introduces video to people who might be interested in using it as a tool in their science communication.
Right.
First of all, why did you do that? And, how did you start with video
Okay.
yourself?
Why did I do the workshop?
The workshop, yes.
So, well, the workshop was to give people almost like a quick boost into, look, this is what making a video involves. So the first question is, do you really want to do this?
It's a lot of work.
Because it's a lot more work than people think.
Yeah.
And then the second point was, all right, if somebody had just given me an hour and a half of tips and hints before I'd ever started, what would I have wanted to know? So starting off with things like equipment. What equipment do you need? Actually, if you're going to make something that at least looks reasonably professional, then from there to, okay, how does editing work? And I just gave people a bunch of my top tips and hints for getting editing done quickly. And that can make a huge difference because it's much more complex than people think. When you're making, if you're doing a quick 1 minute TikTok or something like that, it's not too hard, obviously.
No, but that is also like, if you, depending on how you want to do it, like that also takes a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, any video, I can't think of any video that doesn't need a ton of work, unless you're gonna shoot it and post it as is, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, any video that you've seen that TikTok or YouTube have provided to you has been through quite an extensive planning and editing process. And once you do it, you can spot it. And so you've got somebody and they're saying, "Hi guys, I'm just skating through the park." What's actually happened is they've scouted out the area, they've made plans, they've done some practicing, they've decided exactly what they're going to do. They've probably done that kind of apparently random skate through the park. They've probably done that 4 or 5 times. They've taken maybe an hour, 2 hours of footage. They've cut it down to the best bits. They've added video effects and transitions. They've changed the color. They've done the sound. And then they'll publish it. And it looks like, oh, this is just me skating through the
park. But like you said, like it involves a lot more work, right? Which, brings us to, to the channel.
Right.
That you are... What's the channel?
It's called 326.
326.
That's spelt out with letters, so THREE, and then 26 as one word in alphabet. I'm
sorry, I'm not smart enough to know what does that refer to.
Okay, so if you look at the periodic table, each element has a number.
Yeah.
And element number 3 is lithium, which is Li.
Yeah.
And element number 26 is iron, which is Fe. You put those together and you get life. So the original concept...
Wow, that is nice. That is nice. I did not expect this.
Yeah. So the original concept of the channel was chemistry, science, and life. Mm-hmm. And the reality of publishing on YouTube, and we can maybe go into some more details later, is that chemistry is one topic, science is another topic, and life is a third topic. And you can't actually put those onto one channel. So I've had to focus, or rather I've chosen to focus on the chemistry for now, and the life and stuff will come later.
Yeah, I think I talked about this a bit earlier, but I wasn't the biggest or the smartest kid in chemistry,
right? Sure.
To be honest.
Yeah.
But YouTube, or at least people that make YouTube, like yourself, actually do it with passion. That shows in the video, that helps people kind of enjoy this kind of subjects. How do you see conventional education when comparing like to education that you get or information that you get through outlets like YouTube, for example?
Right. Well, they are different things, and I think they should complement each other. So firstly, being able to communicate about a scientific topic with passion, frankly, is a talent. And it's a talent that not everybody has. And I'm sure we can all remember teachers that could do that when we were at school. Not necessarily science, but very often the subjects that we enjoyed at school and chose to continue came from a particular teacher that was passionate about their subject.
Yeah.
And then the other point is that YouTube and the other social media channels...
Sorry.
Okay, that's right. Fine.
Yeah, cool. Continue.
The other point is that YouTube and the other social media channels kind of select for people that have that passion. So there are, I don't know, thousands and thousands of chemistry channels out there, but many of them are made by people who... I'm going to use kind of quote marks for just people who are just putting their own lectures or lessons onto video.
Yeah.
And those will get watched by their own students, but other people won't hang around. So the social media is selecting for people that have that passion and can communicate it. But what I would say is the big difference between, for example, my channel, which goes it takes topics that people who understand at least high school chemistry will already know, and then does a real deep dive into how that actually works, and what is it under the bonnet, what's going on underneath the lid there that people don't normally tell you. The difference between what I can do and what teachers have to do. Teachers have to teach for exams, and they have to teach for state exams.
Yeah.
So if an exam says, this is what happens, that is what you have to kind of repeat for your exam. And this has been a problem for me and my children, because when they are learning chemistry and it turns out that they aren't that excited about chemistry, despite my best efforts, I said, well, actually, what's really happening here is da, 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 da. Oh. Well, then if they repeat that in a school test, they've lost the marks. And schools have to do that, because, we can't have 5 different answers for one question. If you've got an exam every year for tens of thousands of students, hundreds of thousands in some countries, you can't have flexibility with the answers, so you have to settle on this is the correct answer. So I have that flexibility to say, right, this is what you've learned for your exam, this is what's really happening, and this is how it really works. So I wouldn't say one is better than the other, or maybe one has an advantage, but I do think they complement each other.
Yeah, like you said, complement each other.
Yeah.
And using YouTube, like, how was the learning process? Because I think, like, everyone who uses social media, or especially, like you said, for chemistry, that's a very niche subject, right? Is from the analytics, do you see that it's quite a niche, or like do you see like a lot more people are interested in the channel? Like,
what I would say, when social media works and when YouTube works, the beauty of it is that it finds your niche. So
finds your niche for you.
It finds your audience for you. So whatever it might be, you might be interested in, I don't know, bottle caps. Well, you'll probably think there aren't many people interested in the world that enjoy bottle caps, but social media, when it's working, will find them for you. And then the skill is, all right, how do I make that happen? How do I find my niche? So my channel has been running for about 3 years now. I would say my first year was involved in learning how to use cameras and video things and the kind of edit things and the technicality of it. And then probably the next year was involved in learning how to work with YouTube and make the videos work on YouTube. So and that's very much a skill in itself, very much so. If, as I said, if YouTube is showing you a video that you haven't specifically asked to see, then that's no accident. That person knows what they are doing. And everything from the way they've arranged their videos, from their thumbnails to their titles, they know what they're doing. And most of the time, it will have taken them years to get there. So what I did very simply is I found some people on YouTube that were teaching these skills, and I watched their videos and I followed along until finally it went click. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it doesn't come immediately, but the way the growth happens is it's exponential. So what that means is you're toddling along, you get your first 20 subscribers, and that's super exciting. And then you're aiming for that 100 subscribers, and that's super exciting. And you're telling everybody, I've got 100. Then you start heading up towards 800, and you're thinking, oh, I might be able to get 1,000. And in my channel, for example, I was looking forward to 1,000. I had my small part-time team said, okay, right, we're going to go out for a 1,000 subscriber dinner when it happens. And we blew straight past that and on to 10,000 before we could have our dinner.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
So it's not that wasn't an accident, because I did have kind of an insight that I'll get onto. But it, at the same time, that's how it worked, because it's exponential. And so now, for me, in the last month, I can't remember. I think I've had something like an extra. I've got to work this out now. I think I've had something like an extra 8,000 subscribers in the last month, and I'm not very happy about that.
Why?
Because where my channel is now, so I'm sitting about 85,000.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that 100,000 subscriber count. And when you're adding 8,000, that 100,000, when you're adding by thousands, that 100,000 subscriber count is some way off. And it's because this is exponential growth. What used to be unthinkably amazing is now slowing down.
Yeah.
So that's the reality of it. And what that means is that early on in those first few years, you've got a very hard decision to make when you're getting up there to the maybe 100 subscribers level, maybe up to over 100. And you're thinking, well, is this going to work? Is it going anywhere? Is it worth the amount of time I'm putting into here? Well, I can't tell you whether it's going to take off or not. But when it does, it goes whoop, because this is all, exponential.
I see. You mentioned earlier, like, you have some insights. And obviously, you said you've been doing this for 3 years. And you've learned, I think, quite a lot of things about how to work the YouTube algorithm, as they say.
Sure.
What can you share with us, like with someone who wants to, take on the YouTube channel, and how to be successful in it? Yeah.
Well, I would say the very first question you've got to ask yourself is, what am I doing, and why am I doing this? And you've got to be really honest with yourself. So, what am I doing? I'm making a video channel that discusses chemistry concepts, that hopefully in an entertaining way and in a way that helps people understand chemistry. Why am I doing it? Now, there's the question, right? So the reason I got into this, so I'm going to circle back to question, but I'm going to start with the reason I got into it was because I was working in my lab, and sometimes an experiment goes on for a few hours, or usually it does. And so I would go for a little walk while I'm waiting for the experiment to finish, and I'll be thinking about how I'm going to explain these concepts to my students as I'm going. And then I think, well, nobody else is saying this, what I'm saying. If I put it onto YouTube, then other people can hear this,
can learn from this.
Which is great, but the problem with that is how many people actually want to watch it, and why are they going to stop and watch my video instead of somebody else's? And why this why thing is so important, because then you've got to decide. So I made my first videos. This would be pretty much the same for anybody making their first videos. You make a bunch of videos and hardly anybody watches it. Maybe your friends.
Story of my life.
Maybe your family. Maybe your family, but people aren't watching it for whatever reason. So you've got to go somewhere different. You can't just make videos and put them on YouTube. And then this is why why are you doing this is so important, because that then almost dictates where you're going to go. So if you want to go into the super mega popular videos, which are mostly crazy stunts of one kind or another, then you've got to say, all right, I need more crazy stunts. I need more crazy stuff. And whereas for me, it was about the education. So I'm doing education. I'm not doing crazy stunts. Doing chemical reactions that go flash and go bang. Number one, there's already people doing it better than I do with huge followings. So what's going to be different? But most importantly, that's not educational for me. I want to sit down and talk with people. So then the next thing you've got to ask yourself, and this is where my channel took off. And this came on the back of some advice from, there's a YouTuber called Nate Black, has his own YouTube channel teaching people how to make videos. He, very luckily for me, he picked up my channel as a channel to discuss.
Oh.
And he gave me this, personal advice and said, who is your audience and what are you giving them? What is the value that you are giving to these people? And he then put it more clearly for me. He said, you've either got one of two audiences here for this content, which is my chemistry education. He said, either the general public, in which case you're making chemistry simple for people that haven't really been interested in chemistry before, or for people with a knowledge of or an interest in chemistry. And when he said that, it went click. That's my audience. People with a knowledge of or interest in chemistry. Because what my, I'm going to frankly say what my talent is, or what my kind of unique selling point is that I can explain chemical concepts in a way that the textbooks can't. So for the general public who aren't interested in chemistry, I'm not giving them value. So they don't want to come and watch my video about the details of how atoms really work. It's the people that are already interested in that stuff.
Right.
They might not be chemists themselves. Maybe they are engineers. I get lots of comments from people who are maybe engineers that haven't learned chemistry since high school. Lots of people saying, I wish I'd known this when I was at high school and stuff.
Yes.
So, but what that key insight did was meant I could stop making videos that were trying to be funny, stop making videos that were trying to explain evaporation to people that didn't really understand molecules, and I could focus on things like atomic orbitals. And that video is my my second most watched video to this day. It was the next video out after that. And the reason was, it was because, okay, this is a topic that people will have come across at high school, certainly at university, and I'm sure that most of them don't get it, how it works. So I am going to lay it all out and make it so they understand it. And that is the point where I identified my audience, and it changed my
I'm
channel.
gonna have to watch that video.
Please do. I tell you what, you'll recognize the campus, because there's I actually use there's a plaza that we can see right behind the camera over there, that I use to illustrate how atomic orbitals work in an absolutely unique way. And what happened was, once I'd identified my audience, I'm saying, okay, right, this is the content I need to be making, and this is the way that I need to make it. And I identified my audience, and then the algorithm could help me identify my audience after that. Because the algorithm was showing my videos to a whole mixture of people, because some people liked the videos that were funny, so they were showing videos to people who wanted funny videos. Other people liked my videos because they were super simple for people that didn't understand chemistry, so they were showing videos to those people. And of course, some of them were chemists. But what that means is, each video is not getting clicked by a whole bunch of my existing audience.
That is something very important, right?
Yeah.
That's how your channel grows.
That's
Otherwise,
how the
it doesn't
channel,
grow. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is how the algorithm kind of tests your video, and it says, all right, I used to have these two characters that I called the scientist and the one man. He was the one man who could save the world from science and things. And the idea was, the scientist is the voice of reason, and one man is this crazy tinfoil hat wearing person. And I used him to explain kind of conspiracy theories and things like that. But the people that enjoyed those videos are not the same people that want to watch a serious video on atomic orbitals.
That is true.
So YouTube would throw out my new video and one half of the audience would like it and the other half of the audience wouldn't even click. So YouTube goes, right, okay, this channel isn't working. And it'll stop spreading your videos.
Right.
Whereas once atomic orbitals went out there, that one took off. Then I put out my next one, which was molecular orbitals. And my colleagues that I work with didn't believe that anybody would want to watch a video on molecular orbital theory.
Yeah.
But that's my number 3 video. And it's the number 3 video because now the algorithm can say, oh, you like that stuff? Well, how about this stuff? And that stuff lands too.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, well, how about this stuff? And that stuff lands too because now I know my audience.
Right. This helps me a lot too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I get to know more about my audience right now. I have to think about that at least.
Before we do the next
Yeah.
question, I actually had this discussion before with somebody that had a podcast a while back, and they just told me they had a podcast and wasn't quite working. They were working in giving financial advice. So I checked it out, and what they were doing was having discussions with various clients about making financial decisions. But each client had different problems. Okay, this is interesting. We get to see a lot of stuff. But what they never did was tie it into a central theme. So this person is thinking of getting a mortgage. That person wants a pension. This person wants whatever. But each discussion was based on that person separately. There was no sense.
There's no umbrella that is, holding everything together.
Exactly.
Basically.
What they haven't got for their channel is, who is this material for? Is it for people who want mortgages? Or is it for people who want pensions? Or is it for people that want general financial advice? Those are 3 different audiences.
That is true.
And they weren't focused so that people would listen to one episode and they would look at the other episodes and think, I'm not interested in that. And they would leave the channel.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm talking to you, man. Yeah, because honestly, the way, and especially this last bit,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you continued with the idea.
Well, I'm going to pass that back to Nate Black in his YouTube channel because
I'll post both
he's
of your
fantastic.
channels in the description, I guess,
please
I have
please
to.
do.
Yeah. Last but not least, how do you feel science communication as a field is progressing? Like, is it, because I don't see like a definition for who should be a science communicator.
Right.
Like, everyone can be a science communicator,
Yeah, yeah.
and science communication can be anything, from this podcast to YouTube channels to people who actually lecture about science communication.
Yeah.
How do you see this field developing, and in Japan especially?
Well, I would say, I mean, seeing as this is being videoed, you can see that I'm quite old.
You don't look, your hair is white, but you don't look old at all.
This is my moisturizing regime.
Yeah.
But I would say I've seen huge improvements since, my bachelor's degree was in the early 90s. And
How old are you?
I'm
Hold
quite
on.
old.
No, I didn't think this. You were that old. Your bachelor's in the 90s?
Yeah, that ages me. Yeah, early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, no, I'm 52. I'm 52. So.
I'm 40. I just turned 40. So
Oh,
you're not that old. Come on. Like,
Well-
you the way you made it sound like it just sounded like you were way
I'm
old.
52.
Yeah.
So, what that means is that, back in those days we had, I would say, let's say 2 fundamental problems. And that was, the first one was science communication was only being done by journalists and TV channels. Hardly anybody was able to or had thought of doing things themselves.
Yeah.
And then the other problem we had right then is everybody, and I think we still have this problem in the science community as a rule, people are using language for the public that they would use for the scientific community, and that
doesn't really work.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because when you say, okay, we've discovered this new form of coronavirus, and it could be a serious problem. Scientists hear this could be a serious problem, and our ears go up and go, right, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
I think members of the public hear this could be a serious problem, and they're like, well, it could be, but it's not.
But it's not, yeah. So.
and I saw that especially with climate change. But
climate change isn't real.
Don't make me throw the mic at you, Akram.
Yeah, I know. Like it's crazy that people still doubt these things.
Well, I mean,
and having to have a conversation with someone who, thinks that is a bit difficult.
This is the flip side of social media.
Yeah.
Because what we have now is something that I think of as information turbulence. So everything is so mixed up now. And there's the famous saying that a lie can run around the world before the truth has got its boots on. It's so much easier to lie. I can just say right now, I can say, well, I don't know, what shall I say? You're a pineapple. There you go. You're a pineapple that looks like a human, and I've said it. And then if you want to prove to me you're not a human, you need to come up with an argument and data and evidence.
Have to kind of explain it.
And explain it. Well, look, pineapples don't have arms and don't talk, right? But it's so easy to say a lie. And because of the way that social media actively works, because of the way it's designed to work, it'll spread lies way more effectively and way faster than it'll spread the truth. So, what that means is that when we are using this language, and as I say, going back to, I remember the 90s when I first took a course on environmental chemistry. Early 90s, my lecturer was still discussing problems with the science of climate change and suggesting that it wasn't fixed, it wasn't known there were this problem and that problem. And over the decades, I saw the language change, and I saw from might, maybe, probably, and into will happen, to the definite will happen, to the now is happening
already. Yeah.
And here in Japan, certainly all over Japan, we've had the hottest summer ever. It has been absolutely
the weather
crazy.
is insane all over the world.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not just Japan. It's not, and people just kind of, I don't know, they go with the whole concept it's just gonna solve itself, the planet will heal itself, but not the way we're doing it.
Well, I think honestly, I think everyone, and this includes the people who are most responsible for climate change.
Yeah.
Those people all know it's real. Okay, the people who are pumping out the oil, the people who are pushing the anti-climate change science agenda, the people who are really putting millions and millions of dollars into that, they all know it's real.
Yeah, but it doesn't work for them. That people
because I think they're all expecting us scientists to fix it.
Figure it out.
But they don't want to pay for it. And they don't want to lose money while we are fixing it. So they expect that we will get solar power. They expect that we will get some kind of maybe carbon capture. That's what they really want. Carbon capture so they can keep selling oil. We'll take the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. They don't even care. They've never had to fix these kinds of problems. They've always paid money and other people have fixed problems for them.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's all about the money, really. Turned out from science communication to a money problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Andrew.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure. I got to learn a ton of things, also about YouTube, about science. And hopefully I'll visit Kyushu again. Maybe we'll do another podcast.
Definitely, please do. And all the best with the podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.